Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today we're going to break down a concept that is highly relatable but sometimes kind of abstract and turn it into tangible, actionable insights. We are talking about that dynamic, invisible force that basically governs our 9-to-5s, workplace culture. Because whether you realize it or not, the air you breathe at your office is heavily conditioned by the values, the habits, and the unspoken rules of your organization.
Think about your own daily grind for just a second. In the office politics, the morning meetings, the way your manager speaks to you. What actually makes us love or absolutely hate our jobs? Is it just the paycheck or is it the environment? Really ask yourself, does your current workplace lift you up and get you energized? Or does it drag you down and leave you just utterly drained by Friday afternoon?
Okay, let's lay out our roadmap. First up, defining true work culture. Next, we'll cover the signs of healthy versus poor cultures, move into strategies for workplace improvement, check out some real-world success stories, and wrap up with a comparison of Indian versus Western culture. Section 1, Defining True Work Culture, the baseline of organizational environments.
Before we can fix a broken workplace, we have to know what we're looking at, right? Our source material defines work culture as the sum total of an organization's values, beliefs, principles, and ideologies. It's the stuff that actually motivates employees to perform at their highest level. The big takeaway here is that a truly positive environment lets employees focus entirely on their work. They're united, working towards specific goals, rather than constantly interfering with one another or battling internal friction.
A highly functional workplace operates a lot like an ecosystem. It's multidimensional. According to researchers O'Reilly, Chapman, and Caldwell, there are 7 distinct constituents of a healthy work culture. This includes things like fostering innovation and risk-taking, maintaining a sharp attention to detail, and fundamentally just being people-oriented and team-oriented. It's not only about getting the job done, it's about how you support the people who are actually doing the job. Section 2, Signs of Healthy versus Poor, Diagnosing the Symptoms. Now we're going to put on our diagnostic hats. The contrast between a thriving environment and a toxic one is honestly striking. On the healthy side, you've got high motivation, timely work, and participative decision-making. People genuinely want to be there. On the poor side, work is quite literally treated as a burden. These environments are plagued by inefficiency, agonizing red tapeism, low morale, and even corruption. Favoritism and nepotism replace objectivity, and it completely fractures the organization's foundation.
So why does this happen? How do workplaces degrade? Well, the source points out several root causes. A major one is a dangerous reliance on sheer job security over actual performance. When you don't have performance evaluations, accountability just disappears. Add in seniority syndrome, where tenure is valued way more than talent, and a super rigid process orientation, and you've got a perfect recipe for bureaucratic apathy.
Section 3, Strategies for Workplace Improvement, the Cure for Toxic Environments.
We know the symptoms, so let's talk about the cure. Creating a healthy culture is really a step-by-step evolution. It starts right at the top. The initial seeds are sown by the founder. From there, it's about establishing fair reward and punishment systems, doing periodic assessments to upgrade employee skills, and even encouraging team building through outdoor activities. Ultimately, it's about striking a balance between formal accountability and informal employee bonding.
The source material uses a really vivid analogy here, stating that organizations must actively avoid what it calls a Hitler's approach of just dictating to juniors. Instead, bosses need to transform into mentors, role models, and guides. Superiors are expected to provide a clear sense of direction and keep an open-door policy, literally making sure team members can just walk into their boss's cabin, rather than ruling through fear. To structurally enforce this, modern workplaces are rolling out some heavy administrative reforms. We're seeing a rapid rise in 360-degree performance evaluations, biometric attendance to ensure fairness, lateral entry to bring in fresh perspectives, and performance-linked pay. These aren't just HR buzzwords, right? These are systemic tools being used to force transparency and accountability at every single level. Section 4, Real-World Success Stories, Proof that the strategies work. It's one thing to talk about these strategies, but let's actually see them in action. Take Google, for example. They are a prime example of using employee-friendly policies to yield massive results. By providing a holistic, healthy work environment with genuine workspace freedom, dedicated resting areas, and free cafeterias, they prove that prioritizing employee well-being directly translates into higher productivity and a super-motivated workforce.
But hey, it's not just tech giants. In the public sector, the Deputy Commissioner of the Southeast Division in Bengaluru recognized top-performing police officials by awarding them holiday packages. That perfectly illustrates the idea of praising indispensable performers instead of only criticizing failures. Similarly, in Ahmednagar, leadership dramatically improved work culture by implementing a highly efficient, scientific, single-window system for public service.
And then there's ISRO, the Indian Space Research Organization. A strong culture isn't just about fun office perks. It actually creates a unique, globally respected institutional identity. When a healthy work culture is deeply rooted, it forms the very DNA of the organization's success.
Section 5. Indian versus Western culture. A comparative analysis of global norms. For our final chapter, let's impartially explore how different regions evolve distinct corporate environments. Now, what's really fascinating is how time itself is perceived. The source notes that Western cultures prioritize a perfect work-life balance, sticking to really punctual arrival and departure schedules. Conversely, in the Indian context, there's a tendency to arrive late, which is then compensated for by working late into the night. It creates a much more fluid, albeit stretched, relationship with the clock. This difference also bleeds into work relationships. Western colleague dynamics are described as strictly professional within the office. The casual stuff only happens once they leave the building. But in Indian work culture, colleagues quickly become friends. The line between personal and professional blurs a lot, leading to daily interactions that go way beyond strict professionalism, creating a very warm, communal dynamic. Even break routines tell a fascinating story. Western offices are highly focused on institutionalizing mental health, offering psychological evaluations, fitness vouchers, and yearly trips. Indian offices, on the other hand, build organic communities through mandatory one-hour lunches and frequent 15-minute tea or smoke breaks. These mini-gatherings naturally lift spirits and lighten the competitive atmosphere. Neither approach is inherently better. They just reflect fundamentally different cultural priorities. Lastly, let's talk about hierarchy. In Western norms, superiority isn't blindly respected just based on age, and young, knowledgeable talent gets promoted easily. Indian hierarchy has historically been much more rigid. However, the data shows that Indian organizations are actively modernizing right now, moving rapidly toward the flat, equal, and merit-based structures we see in the West. So that brings us to our final thought. We've seen how work culture is born, how it rots, and how it thrives across different global landscapes. If the culture of your current workplace was established long ago by its founders, what are you doing to reshape it tomorrow? Are you just passively absorbing the environment, or are you actively working to make it thrive? Take these insights, apply them, and start transforming your 9 to 5. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer.